With the second pick in the 2019 NBA Draft, the Memphis Grizzlies select Ja Morant from Murray State University.
I'm Tyler Coston with PGC Basketball. Ja can be an all-timer.
Morant with a running start. Elevate! Oh, my goodness! Ja Morant!
Ja embodies so much of what we believe is good and true about the soul of the game of basketball. Humility, competitiveness, high basketball IQ, a willingness to learn and grow, being a great teammate, make his teammates better. And combined with these things, Ja has a unique skill. He can be a driver, an engine of a modern NBA offense for an entire team for his entire career. Ja can be an all-timer. And by leveraging his most valuable and dangerous skill, his ability to get into the heart of the defense, create advantages for teammates, and his incredible vision and ability to make passes and read defenses, especially in pick and roll coverage, I mean, this is just a coveted skill. And in order for Ja to make a leap in his next season, he has to really do something that Steph Curry actually did as well, and play the game of opposites. Now, in Steph Curry's rookie season, if you take a look at the shot chart right here, he'd get a shot whenever he wanted to, but he got his shots from all over the place. And as we see here, this kind of compared to Steph Curry's unanimous MVP season, is we see that he actually became much more dangerous and much more prolific behind the three-point line. And that fear of Steph Curry getting off the dribble three actually did this for a much less athletic player in Steph Curry than Ja is. He got a lot more shots at the rim. His free throw rate went up significantly. And so in order to unlock that area of the game where Ja is so dangerous, in the paint, near the rim, in the restricted area, in order for him to get there more, to get more bites at the apple, to get those high percentage shots for himself, and to get the machine moving for his teammates for advantage catches, he actually has to become a threat and more dangerous from behind the three-point line. When he can get more volume and more threatening behind the three-point line, off the dribble, in all these situations where teams are going under the picks on him, then that's actually going to open up his ability to get downhill into the heart of the defense, and then we would work on what he would do once he gets there. When he starts to play a little bit more like Steph Curry and develops this off the dribble three like a Dame, well, then it's going to open it up for him. So let's talk about how we could do that. Let's take a look first on how he really can improve his shooting of threes off the bounce. As we know, most teams are going under screens against Ja because they just want to keep him out of the paint. About 50% of all Ja's usage comes in ball screen situations. Ja shoots about 30% on these shots where teams go under screens against him. Here's a good make for Ja, and I really want to highlight something even on this first make. So we're going to do some comparisons between him and Luka Doncic here, not because we think one player is better than the other. Honestly, we think that Ja can be a more athletic Luka Doncic, but the same jump that Luka made is the jump that Ja needs to make, jump into an MVP sort of a conversation. So this season, for example, Ja shot 30% on shots like this where teams go under the screen on him. He didn't shoot 30%, he was in the 30th percentile. But Luka, on the other hand, is in the 85th percentile on shots like this. And what we see with Ja is when he has more time to get this shot off, like in this first possession here against New Orleans, he's got a ton of time, a ton of airspace to get that shot off. Now, he still has some negative energy going away from the basket here, which is one of the first things that we really work with him on. But the moment he gets a little bit more of a contest, not quite as much airspace, we see that negative energy with him falling away from the rim a little bit as well here. As soon as he has to speed his shot up, his shooting percentage goes down. So here again, we see a ton of airspace, a ton of time, a lot more positive energy because he has time to get that wind up. What we would really work on is the sequencing of his hands, the sequencing of his pickups, so he can really get the ball moving quicker, so he can get the shot off quickly on these threes off the bounce, because the moment he gets above league average on threes off the bounce, all of a sudden his entire offensive repertoire gets expanded and he can be great at what he's already great at, which is getting into the paint, finding shooters, and finishing at the rim. Here again, we see a lot of that negative energy here where he's falling back, and what we teach around shooting would really help Ja keeping positive energy to the rim. Most of the time, players fall back when the ball's moving a little too slow. They try to buy a little bit more time for their release. And so by speeding up the ball, speeding up his sequence, and speeding up his pickups, we could get more positive energy going towards the rim and really improve those threes off the bounce. The second thing we want to talk about here is not just his finishing at the rim, but his ability to get into the paint using angles, contact, and change of pace, because his athleticism allows him to be so successful finishing things like this against contact. That's what makes him so dangerous. But his athleticism and speed also cause him to take shots like this, which are off balance. So what we'd work with on Ja is angles, patience, contact, footwork, and different fakes would allow for three things that would unlock his game. First, it would increase his free throw rate. Footworks and fakes increase free throw rate. He didn't need footworks or fakes there. It was a wide open layup. But footworks and fakes would not just increase free throw rate, but they would increase his reading ability so that he can make more passes like this. Passes to wide open shooters like this are higher percentage offense than highly contested, out of control finishes. And then the last thing we really would work with him on is we would work with him on his ability to turn down out of control shots and instead have more patience in the paint, keeping his dribble alive and probing so that his percentages go up. Right now, his finishing at the basket is only in the 35th percentile, which is unbelievably low for someone as athletic as Ja is. Whereas, we are Luka Doncic, a less athletic player, his finishing at the rim is in the 88th percentile. And Ja's way more athletic and actually has a lot more touch at the rim. But what we would try to unlock for him is more patience, like we see on this possession here, where instead of taking an ill-advised, highly contested shot, he just continues to probe. He continues to use angles, vision, changing his pace to create really easy stuff. We also would work with him on playing more off of 2 feet, something Russell Westbrook has learned to do throughout his career. And stuff like this, where he's challenging a really good shot blocker walled up the rim. Look at all of the eyes and all of the how everyone is just locked in on him. We want to teach him, once you engage 2 or more players, that's when you slow down. That's when you get more contact and more angles, use footworks and fakes, and you deliver those passes that you are just so good at, Ja. Getting these downhill situations are great for him, and I love that change of pace, a little bit of a hockey dribble under there. We would just work on increasing the percentages of that. Ja needs to shoot more free throws. He gets into the paint too much. He's too athletic to not shoot more free throws. He's got a .33 free throw rate, and we got to get that up around 0.4, 0.45, which is MVP level free throw rates, which we think he can do. He needs to turn down these off-balance shots like this where the defense speeds him up. Instead, we teach him to play at his own pace, get contact, draw the foul first here, finish second. That's what the greats do. They know it's the high percentage play, and Ja sometimes is a hostage of his own skill and athleticism because he knows he can make these shots. And yeah, you can, but free throws first, finish it second. And we'd focus on how we could do that with him. There's a great example of footwork and fakes. And when you can slow down and play at your own pace, you can use footwork and fakes to actually open up air space for much higher percentage shots. Let's talk a little bit about this mid-range game, because all of the greats can score at 3 levels. We know that the juiciest stuff is threes and finishes at the rim and free throws, but game winners and the best players can score in all 3 levels of the mid-range. And the cool thing is, what we would work with Ja on around speeding up his release and tightening up his body and balance so he has positive energy going towards the rim. Well, this would also apply to his mid-range game as well. What we notice about Ja is he's such a shot maker. And as such a shot maker, a lot of times he shoots a different shot each time he gets into the mid-range. Sometimes it's a bit of a floater. Sometimes it's a really high elevating jumper. Sometimes his body rotates, but nearly every time we have some negative energy going away from the basket. And here we'll see it again. We see some negative energy going away from the basket right here. He elevates so well that if we just speed up that release on what we call our boom 1-2 pull-up jumper, it's going to groove the exact same footwork, the exact same dribble, the exact same rhythm into all these. See, that's a different shot as well right there. That's kind of almost a little flick push floater, and it doesn't need to be. Regardless of how he gets into this shot, whether it's some sort of a hostage dribble, snake in the screen, if it's attacking a drop big, that last dribble and that last footwork can allow him to groove it so that it really becomes like a point guard layup for him, like Chris Paul. And that was really nice boom 1-2 footwork right there. And his floater game, Ja is actually in the 80th percentile in his floaters. And I think what we can do is actually leverage that a little bit more, so he knows when am I attacking for my floater and when am I kind of snake dribbling and drawing him out for that boom 1-2 finish. So in conclusion, 3 things. 1, basketball is a game of opposites. We unlock his off the dribble 3 so teams can't go into the screens on him, so he can get into the paint to do what he does best, which is create great off the catch 3s for his teammates. 2nd, at the rim, we are going to use footwork and fakes to increase his free throw rate, his ability to draw fouls, and his ability to make better decisions in the paint. Let's turn down those more challenging, out of control finishes. And finally, let's use this technique around footwork, pickups, and ball speed that will improve his off the dribble 3s to also give him that 3rd level, that mid-range game. Right now, he's shooting about 37% on his pull-ups compared to like a Chris Paul at 48%. As we close that gap, he becomes more like the next generation face of the league point guard, and we think we've identified the ways he can.